right, welcome everybody to the Extra Point. My name is Mark Adams, and I'm here with my tag team partner, as usual, Coach Cofield. What's happening? And I'm joined with Four Quarters Online correspondent Roy Shepard. Has been lurking in the shadows and caught quite a bit of football this year, working with us this season. Roy, it's been great to have you on, and welcome to the Extra Point. This is the rewind. Let's not waste anybody's time. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Third round of the playoffs is really the most exciting part. In my opinion, you really get to see what I would say a lot of the contenders. These are teams that really have a good shot at advancing the state. And so third round did not disappoint, but man, quite a few upsets. Some teams that we didn't expect to lose have bowed out gracefully. So let's go ahead and run it down. Seminoles cruising along at 10-0. Really got tested this past week, but they passed the test, beating Pensacola Catholic 34-27. Seminoles down to Crusaders with a big defensive effort and led by defensive back Drew Farrow, had 13 tackles. And really, this is Florida High's hallmark, where they, really played great on one side of the ball and then they coast on the other side. Offense did just enough to win, but the defense really held their own.
Well, Mark, this is not unusual. Since the last few years, Seminoles have played some very solid ball during the playoffs, and look like they're on their way now. They got quite a test last week, and looking forward to the next round, and we'll talk about that in another episode where they play Trinity Christian, which is going to be the biggest test before the finals.
That is going to be a game. Meanwhile, Lincoln goes, I have to say, I guess Duval, they took it personally last week because Tallahassee went 5-1 against Duval last week. And, everybody at Duval kind of took that a little personally. And, they ended some seasons, unfortunately, back here in the Big Bend area. Lincoln, first of all, to Atlantic Coast, we kind of projected Lincoln to be a favorite in that one. And just, trying to win on the road in the playoffs is that is no easy order. Trojans fall 17-9 and really shut out in the final three quarters of the matchup, and that was really just the story. Stingrays stifling defense just really held Lincoln in check, which is surprising because Lincoln has a lot of playmakers. Perry Fisher, Ducatoro, and then Dominic Larry have really led that team offensively, and they were just not able to get anything going past the first quarter.
Lincoln is one of the most diverse teams in terms of how they ran their offense. It's a very sophisticated offense, especially for a high school team from this area. But, considering everything they've accomplished this year, I think B.J. Daniels in his first year as the head coach did a really good job with that squad, considering all the COVID restrictions. So I think they had a pretty nice year. And it had something else.
Yeah, I would definitely give Lincoln, a lot of kudos. It's very tough to step in with everything as a new head coach. And under these circumstances, I think he overachieved.
Yeah, he's a first-year head coach.
Yeah, one thing about it, when you get in the playoffs, you got to learn how to coach in playoffs. It's a lot more intense. Teams play a little harder. Things that go well during the regular season might not go well. You got to adjust on the fly. And when you get in that level, when you get to the third, second round, those teams are pretty good. They won, and they used to win, and you got to be able to bring your A game. And if you don't bring it, you go home early.
Yeah, absolutely. Outstanding job by the Lincoln seniors. Great season for Coach Daniels and company, and we look forward to seeing what they'll put together next year. Meanwhile, back in the capital city, Rickards holds it down for the Tallahassee area with a dominating win, 38-17 over West Florida, and really moving on to the regional finals is where I think. Quentin Lewis probably knew before the season started what he had. And I think defensively is no surprise. This team is very stout up front on the defensive front, as it were. And they just dominated to move into the final. On the offensive side of things, running back DeAndre Francis had 196 yards on 17 carries and 3 touchdowns. Really just powered the Raiders offense on a great night. Quarterback Michael Townsend threw for 209 yards. And on defensive side, we can't say enough about this kid. Linebacker Trayvon Riles led the defense once again with 10 tackles. And, for the Raiders, it's just business as usual. Defense leads the way. Offense does their side of the job and kind of takes on cleanup work. And the Raiders are in the moving on to the regional final.
I think you kind of encapsulated that perfectly in terms of how Rickard plays. their defense has been their strength all year long. They've relied on it, and that defense has come through every time. In order for them to kind of, move forward and advance to the point where they are capable of winning the state championship, Townsend has to continue to do what he did in this previous game, which is continue to look for opportunities to throw the ball. Sometimes on called passing plays, he looks to his legs first, and that's because he's a very talented runner. But however, like if they want to move this team to the next level, then they're going to need to be able to pass the ball as well and keep that offense balanced to help out that defense.
Yeah, they'll face a big test in Reebok next week. We'll get into that into another episode of the Extra Point. North Florida Christian, if anything, I would say they're probably more of the experienced teams in this area. This is business as usual for them. Being in the third round of the playoffs in their classification is definitely kind of more of their mantra. They fit in well. They understand what needs to be done. These kids have always been ready to play. They've got a huge contest coming up, but man, not before a big 42-0 dominating win on defense. And really was just a team effort. Nobody really stood out, but you had a lot of guys with 6 and 7 tackles. And anytime you can add up about 3 or 4 guys with 6 and 7 tackles, you've got a pretty stout defense. Offensively, just putting the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and it worked out pretty well for them. But yeah, they definitely got a big matchup against University next week. Cofield, we've seen this team play. They look like the NFC that we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I had a lot of experience playing against these guys. Never got a chance to beat them when I was coaching at FAMU. They do a great job, but they beat somebody who's been in the playoffs and won as much as they have, and that's going to be a heck of a matchup with those two teams. It might be an advantage that for University to go to have to play at home, which is a tough place to play. Knowing from personal experience, again, playing those guys, we beat them a couple of times, but it is hard to win in that area. And it's the playoffs, the most experienced playoff team in this area is North Florida Christian, so it should be a great matchup.
Yeah, I think NFC plans, they game plan extremely well, and I think they will definitely have it'll come down to if University can find a way to contain DeAndre McCray. And they've got other running backs that can just grind it out. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Moving on, another unfortunate loss for the Big Bend area. Godby falls to Reebok 42-34 in triple overtime. Cougars just really ran out of gas at the end, giving up a late touchdown. Running back Chase Gillespie was the bright spot, ran for 150 yards in a triple overtime loss. And really for Godby, it's just, man, too many near misses this season. Had a near miss against Rickards that could have gone either way. Fortunately, gave up the touchdown late. Lincoln had a furious comeback. That game got away from him. And really, in the playoffs, it's win and go home. And, man, not enough juice in the tank to outlast defensively what was an onslaught from Reebok late in the ball game, and it just kind of doomed the Cougars season. Going to miss these guys. Lonnie Williams at quarterback and that offensive line did a great job this season. But, man, going up against teams, especially like that on the road, had that been a home game, maybe we'll see. But, got to win on the road.
I really appreciated watching Godby this season because Godby was a team that had to find several different ways to win. And I think a lot of times it was too often that teams were able to make Godby one-dimensional, even like they were only able to run the ball in a lot of circumstances, and that kind of hurt them at times. And so I believe that caught up with them in the playoffs, but they were a really fun team to watch this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got an opportunity to build next season. Chase Gillespie will be back, still an underclassman, so there's a lot still there in the cupboard. But Madison County, they do what Cowboys do. They handle business on the road against Hilliard, 54-7, dominating win, and they're motoring right along. Also, let's move around the Panhandle a little bit. Pine Forest down Swanee, man, close matchup. Pine Forest, they edged Wakulla the week before. Swanee comes in, a team that was pretty evenly matched. They fall on the road at Pine Forest, and that's really historically, that is just one of the toughest places to play. I played out there, had my season in it when I was in high school. The atmosphere is just entirely different during the playoffs. And unfortunately for the Bulldogs, a great season for them, but they're going home earlier than they wanted to as well. Mariana down south, Walton 48-31. University Christian all over John Paul 41-7. And coach, let's talk about this sneeze. Edges Bluntstown on the road. 21-18. Great win for one of our friends out there in Sneeds, and he's got a great defense.
Yeah, he's had a great season. I think they only had one hiccup during the whole season. He brought back an experienced team. His offensive line is all seniors. He got a great running back. He got solid play on offense, on defense. Should be a great matchup for them in the next round, which is always tough. And they're playing a local our area team, another area team, Taylor County.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Sneeze definitely has a little bit of an inside path, but for right now, playing great football. And Coach Thomas has really got his team, I would say, galvanized for this point in the playoffs. So good luck to them in the next round. Taylor County beats Bozeman 35-14. Bulldogs, putting together a little something here. Struggled in the regular season, but it's interesting to see them get to this point. Niceville blanks Leon 42-0, and Fleming Island ends the season of really just ups and downs for the Childs Timberwolves 23-7. And really, looking at Leon, looking at Childs, for those two programs, I had a chance to watch them. Almost wanted to merge them together. Leon played Rickards really close up until the very end in the regular season. Got a chance to see some of the bright spots. Have an excellent kicker. Childs, a lot of their struggles really just came, and then Leon too, just COVID, on, off the next week, on the next week, off the next week. So, for what it's worth, you get to a point, at least they were able to have a season. There's a blessing in that. But, hey, for a lot of these kids, it's really good to watch them compete, even though it's not under ideal circumstances. At least they got a chance to have a season.
Yeah, I think the problem with Leon, like you said, COVID, and they lost a lot of players from last year's team. Also with Childs, they lost a quarterback and some great players, and they had to come back this season with all the problems of COVID. Really never got a chance to reach their full potential, and it kind of hurt them when they got down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, that has been it's been a great season for a lot of teams, and we're looking forward to next week. NFC, Rikers, and Florida High, great matchups, and also to our Big Bend area teams. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen at the 1A and 1A and 6A level. But man, Royal, thank you for joining us this week. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Same to you, Cofield. And this has been the Extra Point, the Rewind, and we'll catch everybody in our playoff preview segment